This is Julie, and I am doing an intro to kitchen ballet. So I had posted a video a few days ago, and I mentioned kitchen ballet, and it's funny because when I teach, I tell all my students, whether it's open class students or lower level students, or I'm guest teaching, or students that I teach regularly, I tell them there are things we work on in class that you could be working on throughout the day. You don't necessarily have to be in a studio, right, to work on balancing or where your placement is or thinking about your body alignment. So I always would joke that I'm going to start a course called Kitchen Ballet, and so when you're waiting for your pasta water to boil, then you could certainly be working on a sur le coup de pied, right? And we'll go over that as we go forward. But I wanted to do a little introduction because I know that a lot of you know me, but there are some people who I've been teaching outside of the Seattle area, and just wanted to say a little bit about my background and why I really enjoy teaching at these levels. I feel like there's so much information out there, and there's a lot of good information and not so good, and a lot of information that is highly opinionated. So I really like to work on alignment and pathways in ballet specifically, because I feel like if you don't know what those are and if you don't practice them, then it's really challenging. So I was trained at School of American Ballet in New York. I'm from New Jersey originally, and I think the faculty definitely was different when I was training there. So I had a lot of Russian teachers in my younger years when I went there at the ages of 11, 12, 13. And then Elise Ryman, Richard Rapp, and then into teachers like Suki Shore and Stanley Williams, Alexandra Danilova. I even had Filia Dubrovska, so any of you who know her, pretty amazing faculty. But it was a huge blend of a lot of Russian teachers and New York City Ballet teachers, and teachers from New York City Ballet who trained with Balanchine. So it's amazing, really. And then when I went to work at Chicago City Ballet, I worked with Maria Talchif and Paul Mejia, who both worked very closely with George Balanchine at New York City Ballet. Maria Talchif especially, and she was even married to him. So you can see her on the documentary Balanchine Ballerinas. But I've taught a lot, and I've performed a lot of diverse roles. I've had a great career at both Pacific Northwest Ballet under the direction of Kent Stoll and Francia Russell, and at Chicago City Ballet, like I mentioned earlier. And I've worked with a lot of different choreographers, and I think there's not one way to necessarily do everything. And so it depends what you're looking for, what you're struggling with. Of course, I am biased to working over the ball of the foot when you're standing up, which we always are, and working turnout in a certain way and shaping the foot. But I really am interested in this video series, to just work on little tips and angles and things that can improve your technique as you're going forward. So kitchen ballet, here we go. So stay with me. I'll going to try to post a video every week and work on some aspect, and I'm gonna, I think, work from the ground up like we do in ballet class. And if you have questions, please send me a message and ask me. I know some people practice ballet at home, they don't get to a studio, or they're in an area where it's hard for them to get into a studio, so hopefully this can help with that too. So in this intro, the first thing, even though we're not going to actually do any steps in this actual video today, but I do want to talk about holding your upper body. So we'll start with that. And so as I line myself up, I'm going to look at myself here and make sure I'm doing it right? And I want to lengthen my neck, right? And when I'm holding my arms down, and I'm bringing them up to the side, which I know you're only seeing my shoulders right now, we want to make sure that we don't bring them up with our shoulders, right? So if you're learning ballet for the first time, we always want our arms, and I'll demonstrate this better in another video where you can see my whole arm, but looking at the shoulders, we want to be able to move our shoulders separately from our torso. So see how I can bring my shoulder up, I can turn my arm, and I'm not going like this, right? I'm turning it in the shoulder joint, yeah? So try that on one arm, Try that on your other arm, right? But there I'm lifting it a little, and it's not quite as flexy on the left side. But that's your challenge, right? So when you hold your arm side, and we'll talk about arm shape in another video, but see how I'm holding this muscle? I'm actually holding that muscle to hold my arm. So I'm not just holding it from the top. So I want you to think about, until the next video, right? Think about how those arms come up. They should gently slope down from the shoulder. And as we hold the underneath of the arm, we don't want to let the shoulders rotate. We want to keep those shoulder blades pressing down and our ribs neutral in the front. I feel my abdominals engage. You could do this sitting in a chair. And I feel my neck lengthen. We don't want to have this in the neck. Watch. See that? Yeah. Gets challenging later on. Okay, so practice it now. And I hope you join me for my future videos. Thank you.